with Sky Sports News on the call, please.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Danny. It's James Cooper in Manchester. Could I have permission to record, please? Hello, Danny. Hello.
Okay, let's go with David Chalder from the Press Association.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
I'm supposed to be getting sound on it. No.
Hello, Danny. It's James.
Hi, James.
I'm here. Could you give me a recording?
Just give me 1 second. We're having issues with Wi-Fi. Everybody goes on mute, please. It's too loud. Thank you.
How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Good.
How's it like to be back in Manchester? The rain's coming down here. It's cold. It's horrible. It's not like summer, but you're back in the bubble.
Yeah, back in the bubble. It was really nice to get home and just have some normality for 4 or 5 days. I think everyone has, really enjoyed their little break. It was needed, to be honest. I think we had a long, stint in the bubble, 5 weeks or whatever it is. As much as we all get along, I think that time away from each other is really important, obviously, but more importantly, we get to see our family and friends back home, which obviously, being in this environment is completely different. So that break was very much needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a case of kind of living, sleeping, breathing cricket for 5 weeks and not having a break from it at all, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. I think, you'll have heard the other guys say as well that, we're obviously staying in the hotels on the grounds and, pitch facing rooms, whenever you wake up or you have an hour off or whatever it is, you're constantly looking at the cricket field, which makes it a little bit tricky. But, we've got used to it. We obviously had that test series against West Indies, which thankfully went pretty well. Obviously we won, and, that's the main reason we're here, is to hopefully try and win cricket matches. So, it's been tricky and it has been tough at times, but, we've got through it, and this series is a little bit quicker than the other one in comparison to us having to do that 2-week camp prior as well. So hopefully it'll go relatively quickly as well.
And walking back into Old Trafford, I know we've locked down here and it's a little bit more serious than it was when you were last here, but I guess it's here we go again in terms of the bubble and just getting your head down and trying to get results.
Yeah, exactly that. I think once we get back in and we're back into training, we train this afternoon once hopefully all our test results are back and hopefully they all come back negative. I think once you get back into the cricket, it's almost business as usual. So, I think, you always have that little bit of excitement as well when you start in a new series. I think, once you're in a test series and you're playing against the same opposition consistently, it kind of just becomes a bit of a chore almost. But when you get the start of a new series, you obviously come up against new opposition, you've got that new challenge ahead of you, you've got that little bit of excitement. So that'll certainly be kicking around at practice, I'm sure.
It helps when you walk into a place when you've just taken 5 wickets the last time you were there.
Yeah, that's helpful. I think that was a nice little reward to myself, I suppose, after obviously a tough 5 weeks of being, in this environment, I suppose. But thankfully it finished on a good note for me and for the team. I think to come from 1-0 behind in that test series was, showed good character within the team. Good squad depth as well. People putting their hands up at different times. Really pleased with how it finished, obviously for myself and for the team.
I think you said, you have to perform to keep your spot. I guess you've got to hope that is the spirit, because you're probably in the most competitive part of the team in terms of getting a bowling spot right now, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, competition for bowling spots is high. There's a lot of people that could easily walk into this team. I think we've seen throughout that last series that, pretty much every player that came in put the hand up, particularly with the ball at some point. So, obviously I hope that I've done enough to keep my spot this week, but we'll see what the coach and the captain decide to go with.
What did it do for spirit and belief amongst all of you that, you came from a test down to then win a series to go into a series?
Yeah, I think that's, we've done that quite a lot in the past. I think we'd rather win the first test, that is for sure. But yeah, it does show good character. It shows suppose that we've got the grit within the dressing room to come from behind. But as I said there, I think we'd like to start series a little bit better. We'd like to get our foot in the door, so to speak, and start the series a little bit better, and not have to come from behind. In a 3-match series, you probably want to, in particular, get that first win under your belt early, just to give you a bit of breathing space, I suppose. But we'd like to start the series a bit better than we did the last one, and hopefully put in a strong performance this week.
It was so competitive. It was a great watch. But is it a step up against Pakistan?
Well, I don't know really. I think whatever team comes over, they're always going to be competitive. Pakistan are always a competitive team. They've got good experience, some exciting young players, as they always do, some exciting fast bowlers as well. So we know that they're going to be a tough challenge, and we've played them enough now, in particular in our home conditions, that they're always a challenge and always competitive. So whether I can say they'll be tougher work than the West Indies, I think that's probably the right way to look at it. But we always look at any opposition and think they're going to be hard work, and we know we're going to have to be at our best. We'll do our homework as best as we can, analyse as much as we can, and then try and go out and do the business.
I just wonder, when you talk about making a better start to a series, whether it's an advantage that you've played a series and they played Test cricket last time back in February.
Yeah, potentially. I think we certainly felt at the beginning of the West Indies series that we were probably a little bit underprepared from a match point of view. You can do as much as you can in prep, in the nets and in practice, but nothing really gives you that time in the middle and that match sharpness. So hopefully having had that series will stand us in good stead. But as I said, the Pakistan team are a dangerous team, and we'll have to be on the money from ball one.
And just a final one from me. I know state of mind. If I was coming back to Old Trafford, having been there for so long, I want a different room. Did you get a different room?
I didn't. No, it's the exact same room. My coffee machine's still there, so that hasn't been.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's definitely a good thing that it's still there. But I think the room point of view, I think we've all got round to the fact that it's it is what it is, and we're in this situation. We've kind of got our heads around the fact that we aren't going to be able to go out. We have got to make the most of this time and try and enjoy each other's company and respect each other's, I suppose, what we want to do with our time. We've got a good group in terms of everyone gets along. So we're in the same rooms, but we're finding ways to obviously keep ourselves busy and respect each other's, I suppose, private time as well.
Brilliant, Chris. Thank you very much from me. The weather looks good as well, so enjoy Manchester again. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, pal. Thank you.
Thanks, James. We'll go with Sam Ellard from TalkSport, please.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, Sam. Yeah, good, mate. Thanks.
Good. Chris, we mentioned the bowling there and the strength and depth. I mean, firstly, have you ever been part of a team that has such good strength and depth and so many options like this one? And then what's training like? Does it make training even more competitive? Is there that extra edge because there are so many bowlers going for just 3 places or potentially 4 places in the team?
Yeah, it makes practice intense. I think the batters will certainly speak volumes of that. Down at the Rose Bowl when we were training in prep for the West Indies series, it was extremely high intensity practice, and the nets were doing a little bit as well. So the batters found it hard work, but bowlers are trying to force their way into the team, and as you said, that's only a good thing. I think it makes practice tough, it makes us train hard, and I think it just gets us in a better place as a team. So obviously I want to play every game that I can, but also it's a great place for English cricket to be, to have that many options available.
I watched the Edge documentary last night. I don't know if you've seen it, but firstly, what did you make of it? And also, obviously, I think as England fans, we all dream of England going back to number 1 in the rankings. What does this team have to do? What's the process for an England team to eventually and finally get back to number 1 in the rankings?
Well, I mean, the obvious thing is obviously you need to win cricket matches and you need to win Test series, but it's how you do it, which is the magic key, I suppose. I think the way that team in particular went about their business was obviously batting long periods of time, putting big scores on the board, and then being able to bowl teams out twice. And I think that's the route that Chris Silverwood and Joe Root are trying to, I suppose, bed into this this team and try and ingrain it in what we do is the fact that we try and bat big, try and get big scores on the board, get past 400 as much as possible. And we know when we've been in that position, scoreboard pressure and can be tricky. So I think being able to put big runs on the board, bat long periods of time, and then obviously having a bowling attack that can come in and take 20 wickets more often than not is how you win games of cricket. And that's certainly what the team of 2010 onwards, was it, did for a long period of time, and that's why they were so successful.
Thanks, Sam. We're going to go with Julian Guy, please, AFP, and then Lawrence Booth, Daily Mail.
Hello, Chris.
Hi there.
I just wondered, you touched on it earlier. I think it's 8 of the last 10 series now where England have lost the first test. Have you been able to put your finger on why the slow starts? And presumably, having had 3 against West Indies, a slightly less excuse now, is there?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, we don't see ourselves as having an excuse at all, really. I think it's just a matter of the way it's worked. I'd love to be able to put my finger on it, and I'm sure the management and the team would as well. But I almost think, it's getting to a stage where it's not coincidence, but it is just a coincidence that we keep losing that first test match. But, we want to put that right. Obviously, this is, a new series, and we want to make sure that's right. We'll do as much analysis as we usually do. We try to make sure that we're as well prepared as possible. We know the conditions here at Old Trafford, so like you say, there are no excuses, and hopefully we can put that right this week. Start with a strong performance against Pakistan, and hopefully get one up in this 3-match series.
Thank you.
Lawrence, please.
Hi, Chris. You a couple of good tests against West Indies, and it took your home record, I just checked this on Stats Guru, to 81 test wickets at 22 apiece. Do you think you've done enough now to be considered a first choice, a regular first choicer certainly in England anyway?
So the magic question. I hope that I've done enough to be in that starting 11. But like we've touched on, I think competition's high at the minute. We've got two of England's greats charging in and taking wickets every time they play. And we've got exciting fast bowlers as well. It's not an easy team to just be cemented in. So, as you touched on, my record in England is brilliant. I'm obviously pleased with that. I want to keep getting better. I want to keep improving myself. And every time I get the opportunity to play for England, whether it's home or away, I'm giving 110% and trying to do my best for the team. And, I'm really pleased with how it went in the last series against West Indies. I was obviously really pleased to get the nod in the last test match. And thankfully was able to, show what I can do and put in a strong performance. So hopefully it's enough to keep me in the team for this week. But, selections are not an easy thing. And, I'm on a position where I've obviously done really well, and if I'm selected, then great. If I'm not, then I'll get myself ready for whenever my next game is.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, we're going to move to John Etheridge, The Sun, and then Tim Wigmore, Daily Telegraph.
Chris, do you know if Ben's going to be able to bowl this week?
Ben, I've no idea, to be honest with you, John. We've all obviously turned up last night and, haven't actually seen everyone, to be honest with you. So from that point of view, I've no idea whether Ben will be fit to bowl. I know he had a little bit of a trundle at the back end of the test match last week. Whether he had any ill effects, I'm not sure. So I suppose we'll probably know more around practice.
And obviously, potentially, if he can bowl, that has a potential impact on the balance of the side, doesn't it, clearly?
Yeah, it does. It doesn't take I suppose a rocket scientist to figure that out. I suppose obviously the last test match we played four quicks because Ben couldn't bowl. That obviously changes if Ben can bowl. So that's where I suppose the tricky decision comes in, and that's why I don't get paid what they get paid to make that decision.
Yeah, you talked about two of the all-time greats in Broad and Anderson. Obviously, when Broad gets 500 as well, he gets a lot of attention. Joff, he gets a lot of attention anyway, and I suppose particularly the last game, having missed the previous match, you sometimes kind of float a bit under the radar. I don't know if you think that's fair to say that. Is that something that you're happy to do and not get the massive sort of in the spotlight headlines?
Yeah, honestly, I really don't mind. I'm not one for being centre of attention. I like to. Don't get me wrong. I want to go on the field and perform, and I want to make match-winning performances for England. But it really doesn't bother me if I'm first choice to write about it or not. To be really honest, I want to, as I think my stats have been mentioned, they're very good in England, and I want to keep working on those, keep improving on them, keep them as good as they can be. And at my age, where I am now at 31, it's probably unlikely I'm going to go on and get 500 Test wickets like Jimmy and Broady, but I still want to go on and get as many as I can individually, and I still feel like I can provide really good services for England cricket for many more years to come. So I'm happy with how it works, and as long as I continue to be able to represent England, I'll be happy.
Can I just ask, what about when you all went home, obviously between Test matches, were you sort of discouraged from going to the pub or to restaurants? Were you sort of told pretty much to stay at home, or what?
We were just told to be sensible, really, to be honest with you, John. It wasn't kind of don't do this and don't do that. It was kind of just advised, really, that we should try and be as sensible as possible. If we were to go into an area where there was more public people and more people around, we were told to social distance, told to wear face masks, and like I said, just use common sense, really. Be sensible. We've obviously been in a bubble for 5 weeks. It was nice to get home and see friends and family, and that was obviously encouraged. It was just be sensible. There wasn't any definite don'ts, but as we said, just common sense.
When you arrived last night, you were all retested again, yeah?
That's right, yeah. Tests were yesterday afternoon, mid-afternoon, and we're hoping for results as soon as possible, really.
Okay, just because of the time constraints, one question each going forward, please. Tim Widmore and then Mike Walters, please.
Hi, Chris. I don't think not since 2010 that England have had a Test series victory v Pakistan. Is that something that you've talked about as a group, and have you got any sort of theories on why that is?
No, it's not something we've spoken about. It's obviously something we would like to put right in this series. I think we want to win every series we can. In particular at home. I think that's where I suppose you're expected to win in your home conditions. So it's hard to put a finger on why we haven't done that. I remember being a part of the 2016 series, and felt like we missed an opportunity there to win that series. I think I think that just shows how competitive Pakistan can be. Anywhere in the world, they always put up a good fight, and we're going to have a good series on our hands here. But hopefully we can be up to the challenge and come out on top.
Mike Walters.
Hi, Chris. Just following on from John's question about your role in the team. It's just over a year ago that you were taking the new ball in the World Cup final. What do you consider your role to be in the Test match team?
I suppose it depends on the makeup of the team and the attack, really. I suppose in the first Test match that I played, the second Test match against West Indies, I was picked to take the new ball along with Stuart. Therefore, your role is a little bit different, and you're a new ball bowler. You're there to, I suppose, attack with the new ball, and that's your role. Whereas, if I'm playing with Jimmy and Broady, for instance, like I was last week, and Jofra, it probably changes a little bit. I'm always going to probably be coming on first or second change. The ball's going to be slightly older. But actually, that also doesn't necessarily always bother me too much, because generally the lacquer's off the ball and it might move a little bit more in the air. So, my role changes from game to game, I suppose, sometimes. But, nothing really changes. You're still trying to hit top of off as much as possible, make the batsman play. And hopefully you get your rewards that way.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to finish off with Alan Gardner, and then the last question will come from Arslan Shirazi.
Hi, Chris. Just wondering if we can see the lid. Did you trip to the barbers or still got the band?
Well, no, I took a bit of it off. It's not all come off.
It's a bit Jack Grealish now.
Say again, sorry?
A bit Jack Grealish now, is it?
Not quite. I haven't got as much product in it as Jack has in his.
I just wondered if you could reflect on that 2016 series against Pakistan. You were man of the series. It was kind of when everything clicked for you. and kind of what that series meant and what you've learned and developed in your game since then.
Yeah, I mean, I've got good memories of that summer. As you touched on there, it's kind of a breakthrough for me really in the test team. You know, the winter prior to that in South Africa probably didn't go as well as I'd liked, and you know, I probably doubted whether I was going to, you know, potentially get another opportunity. So that was a real big turning point for me in 2016. You know, just found a bit of rhythm and, you know, got the ball moving in the air and bowled at decent pace that summer. So thankfully that went really well. So hopefully I can, you know, draw on those memories for this series coming up. But you know, I feel like I've changed as a cricketer since then. I've obviously, well, I mean, with experience and time, you obviously develop new skills. But also, I feel like I've become a lot more consistent, both, you know, as a cricketer and as a person as well. You know, it's just, I suppose, the complete package. The older you get, the more wiser you get, and kind of learn your game a little bit more. So yeah, hopefully I can, like I said, draw on those memories and bring some of that form back to this series.
Thanks, Mike. And then, sorry, thanks, Alan. The last question, Arslan from Pakistan.
Hi, Chris. Arslan Shirazi from Pakistan. I just want to ask you, what do you prefer and believe is your strength is the new ball or once it's get a bit old?
Yeah, good question, actually. I'm not sure. I think, you know, every bowler will say that they'd obviously prefer a newer ball to bowl with. It's generally when it's more likely to particularly do as much, probably do it quicker and quicker off the pitch with the newer ball. But you know, I actually don't mind. I've spent my whole career playing for Warwickshire bowling with the new ball, but then most of my career with England has been with a slightly older one. So you know, I've learned to bowl with both. And you know what, I can't really put my finger on it, actually. Of course, I'd prefer a newer ball, I think, but at the same time, I think I'm just as effective now and as good with the slightly older one as well.